Well, welcome to another edition of The Captains here on Islandstats.com. Joining me in this session is the 2016 captains, Summers Cricket Club's captain, Jordan DeSilva, and St. George's Cricket Club captain, OJ Pitcher. First of all, Jordan, welcome. 2016, a little bit of pressure because you were the cup holders, but you hadn't made any changes to the team, so it was just Jakan giving up the captaincy, giving it over to you, but the same team. So did you feel any added pressure?
It's always pressure with cup match in general, but as captain, with all the success of the last couple of years, because we had won the 2 years before then, so just that added pressure of all the success, I guess, just to follow it up, it was added pressure. But like you said, with the team being the same, we were able to keep a lot of strategies and concepts that we kept over the years before then. And because I was in the team, I knew a lot of them. So to answer your question, yeah, it was pressure, but I guess there was a lot of things to make it familiar as well.
You take up the opportunity to become captain. When did you know that was going to be the role you was going to play in the Classic in 2016? Did you know at the beginning of the cricket season?
Luckily for me, it was a decision that was made. I want to say it was in May sometime. I only remember because I had traveled with the regiment and I was actually away when they made the decision. So I had enough time to really think about it. I guess it would have been a lot different had I found out maybe 2 weeks or a month before. But luckily for me, I was able to know. I pretty much played that whole season knowing that when cup match came, that was going to be my role.
OJ, you had lost the previous year, your first year as captain. Going to Somerset, did you feel as if I want to get some revenge on this team? Because pretty much, like I said, it was the same team, but just a different captain.
I definitely wanted revenge. To lose my first cup match as captain, that was something that was really hurting, especially it being 34 years since they had done it on the East. So I definitely wanted revenge. With Jordan being a fresh new skipper, I wouldn't say it played a major role in damn being any weaker whatsoever. Because Jordan is very knowledgeable. One thing Jordan is, I got a lot of respect. He's very knowledgeable, but he's not afraid to ask questions and learn more. He also had a group of guys around him that's experienced so that he can go to for advice. So, we weren't taking that for granted. Not at all, that they had a new skipper at the helm. And Jordan, as I stated earlier, his diehard Somerset. So, I felt he deserved it. It's always going to be talk. Okay, why is this person this captain, that person not? But revenge was definitely on the mind. But unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Jordan, as a new captain, did you have two plans? One if you had to bat first, and one if you had to field out first.
Planned on losing the coin toss, so I didn't really think that far ahead. But as a team, we always had the thought of bowling first, and that was a strategy that had worked for us most of our years. Since we had the cup, I think we only batted first once. So it was something that we knew that we were going to do if we won the toss, but it wasn't something that we were worried about either way. But I remember that morning, I'm not sure if OJ remembers, but it rained close to the toss that morning.
Oh, yeah, yep.
It rained. I think the toss might have got delayed a little bit because of the little bit of rain. So even if we were thinking about betting, we might have changed our decision once that happened.
Yeah. How much do you guys look at the weather ahead of the game to determine what your approach is for the game? Because that's going to make a difference, isn't it?
As far as to say, you do. Well, we did. We looked at different things like that. But I wouldn't really necessarily say the second day as much. On that first day, if it's raining around, get 30 morning off, it's raining around, if you're intending on betting first, you could possibly change your decision, depending on the conditions, overcast, the ball swinging about, whatever. Then obviously you look at the wicket you're playing on, Now that year, I know of Somerset having the cup. You know what I mean? To be honest, I don't think if that bit of rain, it would have changed much decision making because of how good the wicket was. And we knew that, they got the trophy. That's going to be a batsman's paradise. And Jordan would tell you, I love playing up Somerset. That wicket is always nice. And I've scored a lot of runs up there personally.
We all do.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would say for that year, 2016, for us, well, we lost the toss, so it wasn't something we really had to go into too much detail about. But it is stuff that you discuss, leading up to the toss being taken.
Jordan, how do you battle the fact that you're an opening bowler and you're also the captain now? How do you battle that balance yourself personally?
I think you're probably giving me too much credit on the bowling aspect nowadays. I don't bowl anywhere near as much as I used to. But
scoring hundreds nowadays.
That's my choice.
But to be honest with you, it's difficult just rotating yourself as a bowler in general, because for me, it's always a matter of, have I built myself too much, but then whenever you do that, somebody comes to you and say, hey, you could have built an extra couple, So as a bowler, I think it's much more difficult to be a captain. I think when you're a batsman, when you're fielding, you could just worry about fielding.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But then as a bowler, you got to worry about when you think you should come on and did you build too much? Did you build too, So it's something that I've gotten used to. The first year, I think I struggled with it because a lot of people tell me that I didn't build enough overs. And then years after that, you try to not make up for it, but just think differently. But as a captain and as a bowler, it is something that I always think about, whether it's cup match or just a regular game. Always thinking about my overs, when I'm going to bowl, how many, which is an added thing to it. I guess when you're captain and when you're a batsman, it's a bit different, because when you're fielding, you could just worry about just being a captain and not having to worry about your own game.
As a captain, OJ, in cup match, are you the type of person that likes to be near the wicket to make sure that you stay alert to what's going on in the middle?
Definitely. Always been a person that, since I've been a leader, being around the bat. I feel a lot in slips. I still do to today. At that point, I was as well. So yeah, I feel it's important because you're amongst the action. You're able to relay messages to your bowler if need be, or whatever the case. So yeah, and I feel as as a captain, your presence in there, not just for your team, but the other team as well, could bring a little pressure on them and stuff. So yeah, definitely a big fan of as captain being involved, within the inner circle.
What about you, Jordan? Do you like to be close to the action as a leader?
100%. And cup match is even more so because it's so hard to communicate during cup match.
Yeah,
you could be at you could be at cover trying to talk to your bowler. You can't. So a captain being on the boundary, especially in cup match, is almost something that I don't think it could work. Period. To be honest, but in general, definitely, you always want to be around the action, and like it's just so easier to communicate, because that's the main part of your job, really.
Yeah.
Is being able to communicate. And if you can't do that, you can't do your job.
Jordan, this for you. What was the big difference between your first cup match as a coach and your first cup match as a captain?
As a coach, you're just worried about not making any mistakes, because for most people, I was lucky enough to be reserved before I was a coach, so you get used to the atmosphere and things like that. But as a coach, that's the main thing you're worrying about, and as captain, you're worrying about everything else. The crowd's the last thing that you think of. You're thinking about your responsibilities before the game. If you've been to toss, what we're going to do? If we bat, how long we're going to bat for? It's a mental thing. Like I said, when I was coach, I didn't think about anything other than making sure that you put on a show for people. But as captain, it's like every other thing you could possibly think about is what you think about.
What about you, OJ? What was that first experience in cup match as opposed to your first experience as a captain? First experience, I was very young, and that was actually a good year for me on a whole, because I had just graduated that same year from Berkeley, from high school. The year before that, I was reserve in cup match, so I had a little taste for it. And as reserve, I actually took a catch off for Albert, so I knew that feeling. You know what I mean? Again, I had mentioned earlier when we had discussed it with Con that, I was around some top quality players, and that's at a time when St. George's were dominant, in cup match. So yeah, it was nerves there. But as Jordan said, it's being captain, it's so much more on your plate. And people don't understand. And nowadays, it's so much more than back in the day that you have to deal with as captain. You know what I mean? Jordan, I don't know if you remember this, but we have discussed as well that, sometimes we feel with all the extra stuff, like the week leading up to cup match that captains have to do, it can be a bit overwhelming at times. You know what I mean? So, it's so much more on your plate as a captain. So it's definitely something that, again, I'll hop on Jordan's back saying this, you have to be mentally tough for, and not just anyone can do it. It's a lot. It really is. So, but again, it's a great experience, and we'll cherish it forever. And I'm sure Jordan will.
Jordan, your first year as Cup match, you're one of the youngest in the huddles. What was your message to your team before you guys broke off to go and field out?
I'm pretty sure I remember vaguely. I think most of the message was to just keep things as simple as possible. Keep in mind the success that we had. We played against these guys a lot. We know how to get them out. Because we build fresh, it was probably a bit less pressure as captain, because if you bet fresh as captain, you don't want to be 30 for 4 or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think it was a matter of keeping things simple, remembering the things that helped us the year before and the year before that. And to be honest, that's what you usually tell your builders, good areas, build to the field thing. It wasn't some magic formula, to be honest. But I also had guys like Gennaro and Jacon and Jacoby was still in the team then. So I had so many voices around me that like OJ touched on earlier. So I had a lot of help. I really did. And then obviously coach. So it wasn't too much, to be honest.
Right. OJ, what was your message to your players going out for the 2016 game? Because obviously you got a back.
Basically for 2020, like I said, because I've been so had some very good experience, put it that way, up at Somerset, right? As far as personal performances, I was very confident, right? And I did tell those guys, look, just being straight up with them, it's going to be difficult to build these guys out twice on that wicket up there. You know what I mean? So we're going to have to put in that extra effort. We had George, who year in and year out when he plays, he does an exceptional job for us. We had Stephen Kelly, a few others. I will admit it was one person, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree on this, and he might rough me up for calling his name, but which was a very big miss to us, was that one. You needed someone to be able to grip the ball on something like that and, do something extra that we didn't have, But again, you can't dwell on that. We had a team, we felt could do the job. We knew it was going to be a hard task because Somerset's stacked. They've been stacked for years now. These guys are gelling. They've got good leadership. So, it's difficult to bring it on right now. But and again, it's saying that cricket's only day, and that's what they've done better than us. Our day ones ain't been too bad for us the last few years. But on that second day, man, it really counts. They go to that second gear, and it's like, okay, you know what? Let's show these guys why we are the champions, and they step up the game and get the job done.
Jordan, your first year as captain, you go into the selection committee. Everybody that played the previous year is available. Was that an easy pick?
I never had an easier meeting in my life. The hardest decision was where we ate that night.
Was it anybody that was knocking on the door that possibly could have made it into that team?
I'm not 100% on who was the ones that year. I know that Joshua Gilbert was always around. Deontay Darrow was always one. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember like the outside names from that year, but I know those guys are always in the conversation. But to be honest, that year was more debate over the reserve than it was over any of the players. Our thought process where it was that we won in 2014, and then we had the historic victory in 2015, and it's like, everyone's available. Everyone was also in some sort of form as well. There wasn't anybody that really had a bad season that year, and so it wasn't just a matter of anyone doing enough to get in. We didn't think that anyone did enough to lose the spot, to be quite honest. It was really a simple meeting.
When you look at the team and you're looking at who's available to you, when you look around that changing room, you see a lot of guys that you looked up to as you were younger coming up into the game, and then to be playing with them and leading them. What was that conversation like with yourself? Because you've grown up watching someone like Gennaro, you've grown up, you've played with and against someone like Jacon, and then Jacoby and the like. You were still very young, but now you're leading this group. What was that conversation like with yourself?
I think the biggest thing out of all that was really the Gennaro factor of it. Jacoby and Jacon was a little easier because of the fact that I had played, 10 odd years of league cricket with them. So, and I was captaining them all season. Right. With Gennaro, it was a matter of, I remember my Colt year. He got 250s that year. I remember when he broke the record. I remember so much. And now it's like, I'm leading him now. And I also look back on it now, and it's like, he got his 100 up Somerset, his only 100, his last innings. And it's like, I was his captain that day. So that's something that I didn't really think much of it beforehand, but then afterwards, with the historical significance of him getting his 100, it's like, he was the captain when I first came into the team. And then I end up being captain when he finishes. So I thought that part of it for me was pretty cool, and was just grateful that he was able to go out the way we all wanted him to. But on that fact, and even guys like Malachi was my captain in under 15 cricket, and I'm played almost pretty much my whole life with Malachi. Like Malachi, Chris Douglas, these type of guys. I'm played, they're older than me, but I'm playing cricket with them pretty much my whole time playing cricket. So little things like that, then other people like Greg, who came up under me, both of us now playing cup match at the same time was interesting. So there was a lot of different things that went into it, but probably the Gennaro part of it was probably
OJ. Cup match is a sentimental thing. It's a lot that goes into it emotionally. And you said before that you come from a cricketing background family. What was that conversation like with your dad about leading St. George's, not only the first year, but the second year?
He was obviously over the moon. And the reason I laugh, leading up before the first year that I accepted, he was actually debating about maybe not getting a spot, right? So obviously now, his son's up in the running to be captain. And once the announcement was made, then, that was right out the door. He, got his spot and stuff. But yeah, he was very proud father. Again, a few years before that, we had lost my mom. My little one was born. So, it was a very emotional time as well, So yeah, he was proud. Obviously both my uncles were proud. One played cricket, Arthur, but my uncle Alvin, he didn't play too much at all. But yeah, it was the Hill St. Davis community on a hill was, proud to have, a St. Davis Island at the helm for St. George's and cup match. Obviously the results go a little different, but that's cricket, So but yeah, it was a great feeling. He was a proud father, super proud. And for my daughter to be there to experience it, yes, she's probably too young to remember, but I do have a video of her, walking out with me and stuff, taking tours and all of that. So it's something, again, I'll cherish forever.
Did you think losing the toss kind of put you guys on the back foot right away?
No, I wouldn't say it, dear Jordy. I wouldn't say on the back foot right away. But yeah, of course, yeah, definitely. With that wicket again, that was a big thing. With them having the trophy of Somerset again, is always, even when they don't have the trophy, it's a good cricket wicket, So by them having the trophy, we already knew it was going to be a batsman's paradise. Yes, that was the plan to send them in if we won the toss, which we didn't. So again, they won it. They took advantage of the conditions. And you gotta also give a lot of props to Nero. That was his last cup match. He went out in style. Got 100, batted like a champ. But I don't think Jordy. I don't think he played one aggressive shot, or you know what I mean. Like he batted like a champ that we know Nero years. Steven batted well. I think did he get 50 or like 49 or something?
Con got 50.
Who was that?
Con got 50.
So Con got 50, but didn't Steven got a few as well? Yeah, like he hung around with Nero, I think the first innings. Yeah,
I think Dashi got 49 that year. I think he won.
Yeah, 49. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so they produced during the day. And it was even though I wasn't happy at the time, but it was a privilege to watch Nero do his thing and go out the way he did. It's a real class act he is.
Trying to figure out how to get him out when he's in such good nick. How difficult is it? Because you need everybody on board trying to figure out whether you're going to burl him on his legs or you're going to burl him on the offside. When he's in that type of form, it's very difficult to try and set a feel for that, isn't it?
Yeah, it was almost impossible. I mean, a guy like George, he has a lot of variety. And on a wicket like that, again, you need that little extra this and that, and we tried everything and just couldn't get him. Sometimes it goes that way as a batsman. Jordan, I'm sure has been in a situation like that where everything is going right for you. I felt that a few times. So, he outclassed us that day. We tried everything we could, and it just didn't work. So again, props to Nero for that.
Jordan, you actually get to be in the changing room with somebody like Gennaro, and the fact that, like you said, he got his final century, his final innings at Cup Match, and you're the captain. Watching it develop, what goes through your mind, and what's the chatter like in the pavilion?
It was nerves, and I'm not sure if Ali remembers, but he got dropped in the 90s that year.
Yeah, that's right.
And so when we thought that he caught it, it felt like we lost Cup Match. Like it really did. Like because all of us were waiting. There were so much fans behind us that were gonna run out behind us. So just waiting, it was like the game was on a knife edge. It really was, because he never talked about it. He wasn't somebody that always talked about getting hundreds and all that, but some people could just do it. And that's how he was. And we knew that he wanted it, and we all wanted it as bad as he did. And I think what made it better was the fact that we were in trouble when he went to the wicket. We had lost 3 early wickets, because I remember, because I'm saying I was my first year as captain, we're in trouble. But I've got my 2 most experienced batsmen out there right now. That was when him and Steven were batting.
Right, yeah.
So I remember that part of it. But yeah, it was almost as if the game was on the edge. Like we could win or lose this game at any moment. Just watching him get to his 100, and then when he got it, everyone. It was like you said. It felt like we won the game. Because we knew he wanted it so badly. But at the same time, we thought if he didn't get it, he might come back next year. So we was might have hoping that he didn't get it either.
Yeah, I actually forgot he got dropped in the 90s, Jordy.
I can't remember. I remember it was in cover. I can't remember who dropped it, but I remember it was in cover.
Okay, yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I do want to thank you very much for your time on this edition of the Captains, 2016 captain, Summers Cricket Club, Jordan DeSilva, and the St. George Cricket Club captain, OJ Pitcher. Guys, I appreciate your time. I appreciate what you've been able to accomplish in Cup Match, and I know Bermuda is a better place for you guys from you guys' experiences.